Okay, 1.3 million. How much is this going to sell for? What's the actual?
$15 on Steam. Yeah.
$15 on Steam. Okay.
Yeah, we did forget to mention Steam. The presentation.
Okay.
It's on the first slide, but we should.
Yeah, I should have brought that up.
No problem. No, I mean, it's perfectly okay for someone to ask, hey, well, what was the cost of the game again? And you have it right on the top of your head, $15 on Steam. All right, that's cool. Who exactly is your audience for this? Like, are there other games that these guys are playing right now that are in the Steam library?
Yeah. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 is probably, or 3 would be, things we want to compete with. As in the sort of cooperative brawler stuff has been done to a certain extent. But one thing that we've got that already should sort of make us clearly in good shape for that is the controls. So the attack, smash, etc., like those things have been done in Marvel. We got a pretty simple, accessible, easy to jump into smash. You and your friends will hit some enemies. But it gets kind of flat. There's less. I think the keyboard mouse input control is really limiting. So the next should make it pretty hard to be able to. Or not, sorry. I'm a tad bit tired. My apologies there. The Hydra thing that is a big deal. That is new. Perfect.
Cool. I'm just looking at your numbers here, and it looks like you're not projecting to make a profit. Like, over what period of time are you projecting sales for this game?
It's well, actually, it could be so I just updated it, so some of the numbers are tented off now.
Okay.
And especially for Action Ninjas, there was the negative profit as well, where the profit was calculated as the budget minus expenses.
Yes.
Which right now should be about even if we change it to about 1,300,000.
Okay.
But yeah, from royalties and all that, we expect to earn over $1 million, which makes up for the slight loss of
Okay.
money from the profit.
Cool. Do you happen to know off the top of your head how many unit sales you're projecting?
180 to 200,000.
200,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you go back to your slide on that one? Isn't that more than?
So we're not counting the legal accountant, lead writer, tester.
Okay.
I think you have to count those anyways.
Well, full-time versus not full-time is a huge distinction in terms of how much we're paying them.
Well,
and
then
in terms of
aren't
how
the
much.
programmers and designers part-time too, since they're cycles?
No.
So that's why 15 people would be, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus. No, we have too many bubbles on the drawing. Fair enough. So we'll update our drawing. That's a fair point then.
Okay. And is there any particular meaning to the logo that you've got there with the
Because we're somber for it. It's
Yeah.
pretty
You're
somber.
very somber, but I gotta admit, I'm reading those highlights as blushing.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who reads that?
Me too.
Okay, we can add people's.
Just saying, let's see.
Oh, that's interesting. No, those are meant to be eyes, but we will take care. We'll scold our artists very fair.
Okay. So let's see. Getting out of that role for a bit, James.
Yeah.
You're a pretty smooth guy when it comes to the whole speaking thing. But when you go on those tangents, sometimes it just totally interrupts. So, when you went on that tangent, I was actually really quite frustrated. I was like, okay, keep on going, keep on going. Okay, I know, but keep on going, keep on going. And it took a good 20 seconds. 20 seconds is a huge amount of time in this. And you don't want to interrupt yourself like that. because that's
Particularly
just-
when you're there to sell something.
Yeah.
You're there to sell an idea. You're not
So be
taking
more
a pull.
concise.
Yeah. Like, hey, but who likes poodles with fluffy tails? Yeah, you sir. Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah. Let's see. I put a note here. Why so down? I mean, you guys looked a little bit closer together, but you also looked down.
It's been a rough week.
Well, yeah, actually, you looked actually properly happy.
He's a happy guy.
Absolutely serious.
Yes.
Like, I think there was
John
something.
from our team.
There's something to the fact that you native English speaker, okay. But quite honestly, I connected with you a little more.
Yeah, she
Because of the
did.
fact that you actually had a smile while you were talking. And from that, there was like this extra energy with which I could connect with the game. In contrast, you were down.
It's been a rough week.
Well, I'm just saying.
It's gonna be
you
a
know,
rough sale.
Here's the thing, those things, you can tell. We can tell.
Yeah.
And if they can't tell, they can tell subconsciously. All this stuff is very rich feedback that they're going to draw on as to whether they're going to make the sale or not.
Yeah.
So be very aware,
I'll work
be very
on that.
conscious of that. And this goes for everyone.
I'm gonna be even sadder if it was down there.
Oh, no, it's gonna be, I really would
Show up
like
to your
to
presentation in goth makeup. Just come and
do it. I would like to see more
the somber
design
one.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
More about
I would like to see more design / control mapping stuff.
Cool.
When you talk about the keyboard, and the keyboard's like, okay, that's a little bit daunting, but I can kind of see how things can be mapped because I'm a game player and I know that can reach that level. And then you show the Hydra, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I really wanted one more step. You talk a little bit about the things that you can do, and I kind of understand what those things are because I've seen a lot of Kung Fu action films. But if you could be more explicit in how those things map, that would be great.
So if we had like a line from like each button on like the keyboard and like the Hydra is for like the mechanic that it does, that might help.
Maybe. I think it's less about mapping of Hydra to keyboard and more about mapping of keyboard to game and Hydra to game. Right now you've got that one mock-up of the screen. It's like, okay, cool. Well, what is that done? SketchUp or what?
No, this is Photoshop.
Just Photoshop there. Okay. I think it would actually be really cool if you did a little bit more with these mock-ups. You
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the zoom out mechanic with the momentum, and I think, oh, that's really cool. And I know the game designer side of me is thinking about some of the movies that I've seen in the past that have similar feel to it. You guys remember that Jet Li film, The One?
No.
Jet Li film, The One. At the very end of the movie, he's sent to a prison. And Jet Li is actually one of the two most powerful beings in this universe. But actually a multiverse, because that's the plot of this film. Anyways, he gets sent to a prison, and this prison is basically a mountain. He goes to the top of the mountain and says, I am the one. I am no one's bitch. And then people just start attacking him, and he goes into a flow. And the camera just zooms out, and you see progressively his attacks having more and more effect on the people that are surrounding him, because he's being swarmed by not just hundreds, but thousands of people. And I was thinking, oh, that would be really cool. And I'm thinking, were these designers influenced by that? Were they not? I would love to know if they have something more explicit in mind that either matches that level of intensity that I'm imagining in my head, or perhaps shows something even beyond that. I think there's a lot of design places in this presentation where you can be more explicit. We're relying a lot on our assumptions as gamers. Hey, I know about punching and kicking. I know about Kung Fu films. I watched my little nephews watch Avatar. Okay, cool, I get that. But there needs to be more here. And it doesn't need to be a huge amount more. I'm thinking along the lines of 3 or 4 more mock-ups. Basically saying, hey, here's what it looks like when the camera zooms out. And you can see that now this really big whooshing air uppercut something actually affects 6 guys, that are in front of me instead of just the one guy. And things like that. Being explicit.
Do you guys know what a mood board is?
Yeah.
I know you know what a mood board is.
Vaguely. As a matter, I've heard the term used.
A mood
How's
board
it
is what
used?
she was in my interface design class, and when you're creating an interface for a game, you put together what's called a mood board, and that's grabbing different pieces of art off online, where it communicates what the mood of this thing is, and it can be, if what you're going for is that whoosh matrixy, the one kind of thing, grab some mood pieces like that, but create a mood for the game that communicates the essence of the project. And that'll give people, that will translate your vision to these people you're talking to.
What else? There were a whole lot of little things. There were a lot of hiccups where it seemed like you guys didn't quite know where things were supposed to go, who was supposed to go next, or yeah, there was an Earth, Wind, Fire, Air thing.
I couldn't remember the last one.
It's air. It's all around us. But yeah, you know, general smoothness is definitely something to make sure you are on top of. Any other thoughts, comments? Yeah.
Every time I keep seeing your presentation, I keep thinking about The Legend of Korra, but I don't know what
Yep.
your game is.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's actually, we're hoping to have that effect. So I'm glad we can't explicitly mention it because we're very directly taking a lot of stuff from them because they're very cool. And there aren't games for Legend of Korra. There's not any games for
Why
like,
not
good games
pitch
for
it as a licensed game?
There are video games for Amazon.
We
Yeah,
could
I
pitch it as
just
a licensed
use
game,
those.
but then we'd have to pay a huge amount for something that is not like unique to Avatar. So the idea of martial artists who control like their environments with like who actually can impact the space around them, it's been done in different ways in a range of stuff. So there's examples of sort of other games where you have a fighter who can use magic, like spell sword kind of shit from stuff from the Oblivion Elder Scrolls series. You have these kind of things done in other spaces. So it's not unique to say like a warrior who can also cast. And and even Jedi are warriors who can cast. You know, like we're doing something that's not something we should pay them to do. Although they do have nice art, they would be nice to take their
And
art.
at the same time, something that helps you sell the game. So
Yeah.
that's something to think about.
How much,
Yeah, I know,
how much
I
would a
mean,
license like that like run you?
A lot.
Yeah.
So we would
You're
have to
basically
make,
paying millions of dollars, hoping that you'll make tens of millions.
so we would have to make the game sell to so many people, and also the actual. I don't think it's worth it for a few reasons. When I see a licensed game, I assume it's bad, almost universally. If it's a TV series or movie first, it's usually this hasty thing they just shit out, and it's like it's a bad game. And I don't want us to be, oh, we've got Batman on our title, and we're a bad game. Like, it'd be better that we can sell this as its own thing, using that same sphere of thought.
Yeah, but on that line, you
Yeah.
should. There's nothing wrong with explicitly acknowledging that.
Yeah.
Hey, here is what's popular right now. You know, Asian cinema has never been bigger than now. The Asian influence on American television has never been bigger than now. And you could say, hey, right now, one of the biggest things is Korra. You know, kids love it. I'm sure your kids love it because a lot of guys in the audience are going to be parents. You know? And you'll often see kids actually wanting to mimic some of these moves that they see. Well, in our game, they can actually do that. They can engage in hugely powerful, highly frenetic martial arts action with elemental powers and fulfill their fantasies of being a good hero fighting against evil. There's nothing wrong with saying what I just said.
Should we also explicitly reference the one for the zoom out? Or should we keep
You
that?
don't have to. I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's a
Yeah, no,
cinematic.
no.
I would find a way to
It's a
communicate
cinematic.
that without reference. The less you reference specific media, the better, in my
Gotcha.
opinion. I think going to the kernel of that media and appealing to that appealability is what you're after.
Okay.
Not saying, hey, you know, Star Wars. You know how everyone loves Star Wars. Star Wars is the shit, right? Star Wars.
Gotcha.
You know, be like, hey, this is why this works. This is proven to work in other situations across a
Yeah.
broad range of media. This is why this fits into that puzzle.
Okay. So we do have we didn't put it on the same slide. Would it be more effective? Right here we have the slightly more zoomed out version. We split it up because we hadn't enough mock-ups printed out yet.
Yeah.
But we have the sort of, you know, when you don't have enough and then you're building it up, and it's not near maximum yet, but you know, it's moving upward when you get to the sort of more zoomed out.
Yeah.
And I might have to change how extreme the perspective is here, because I was using like a pretty dramatic distortion, and that actually makes spaces look smaller, because you could fit a whole skyscraper in a shot like that,
Yeah.
which is not ideal for this. But
I think you need to show other people in here.
we also have oh yeah.
Well, when you're talking about a lot of action, you're talking about chain moves and elemental combos and all
Yeah.
this, you know,
We should
cool
have-
stuff. and then you've got like an OG GTA top-down looking kind of view.
That is a well summarized. Yeah.
Thanks, Yale.
The perspective is a little scary, so like drawing people in that space takes some time. But I will get it done before the presentation. Also, we have
Suggestion.
yeah.
There's a program called XNA Lara. I don't know if you guys go on DeviantArt much, but there's this, in the last year or so, there's been this phenomenon of people basically ripping models from Xbox games and then sort of positioning them in interesting ways and be like, hey, we're going to have the Mortal Kombat guys fight against Street Fighter, and we'll sort of render like some cool art of that.
Yeah.
It's actually relatively easy to go on DeviantArt and be like, download XNA Lara, which is this program for Windows, download this dude's model of some random guy, like, you know, hey, people from Street Fighter. Pose them, screenshot, superimpose, background, boom. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know, that's a way to do it without actually having to be a really fantastic artist.
Cool.
The fact that they are 3D models actually shows more than the fact that they are Street Fighter models when you're at a particular camera distance. So I think that is a way to do it.
In terms of the sort of more total zoom out, we haven't gotten to how to handle like going full one. You know, you can see a mountain in the whole the shot. Just because positioning them would be tough unless we justify that they can move like shocking distances now. Because like why? How do you combo if you're both in the same like point on this huge mountain? But in the earlier art, I was thinking we could go pretty big. So this is like half of a 19 or 16 by 9 shot that I was doing earlier. Actually, I was wondering a little bit, do you guys think the art style on the one here on the right there is more or less sort of engaging than the more simplified, cleaner scroll one?
The scroll one?
As in the yellow,
The green dude.
Still
That
needs
green dude.
I mean, that dude.
This
yeah,
guy?
So it's like this kind of.
I hate this guy. I don't want to play this game.
Thanks, Yale.
Go back to the other slide.
Yeah.
Go back to the Mobius. There. I want to play that.
I mean, the one on the right, the right has an evocative background.
Okay.
Still need
Yeah.
one
Well, that's
more.
good to hear. It took a while to make.